and welcome to another edition of the ZTGD News Burst on Friday, the 20th of September 2013. Change of hosts this week. Obviously, I'm unfortunately still here for my sins. Justin has been kept late at work, bless him. So I have got the ever faithful Drew joining me. Hello, Drew.
Hello.
Now, I found out this weekend that this also goes up in an audio podcast for those that can't be asked to look at our ugly mugs. So, thank you if you're listening.
Yes.
How are you anyway, Drew?
I'm pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, just staying busy with the site and stuff like that. I've got like 3 reviews I got to do right now, and then trying to play the Phoenix Down game, which our next one's going to be Dark Souls. So that's going to be fun.
So what's that going to be, like a 15-episode edition?
It probably, I don't know. We may take like a 2-week hiatus in between episodes. I don't know how we're going to do it just yet. That's going to be rough. And
Who's
then
playing
it? Me, Matt, and a friend of ours from Twitter, SoDoom. At SoDoom, Eli.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
He's like the master at that game. He's beat it like 3 times, I think.
Oh, well. At least I have somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I know, for real.
Those games scare me. I've got both of them, and I daren't touch them.
Those games are rough. I mean, it's not, it's one of those games where it's not hard. It's just unforgiving, and but it's very rewarding. And I think it's one of the Demon Souls blew me away, and then Dark Souls came out and just capitalized on everything. And I can't wait for Dark Souls 2. Even though will I ever beat it? We don't know. Matt is determined to beat it, so maybe I will too. I hope.
Well, I've not really been doing that a lot, other than actually playing the game that everyone else has been playing this week, GTA.
Yep.
And obviously, everyone and his dog has been going on about that, and we'll no doubt talk about it in the show. So we'll kick off with GTA 5. It's a good little segue. So today, Rockstar have announced that GTA 5 has sold everything. $1 billion in 3 days. And that's billion, not million, $1 billion in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's Activision must be thinking, what the fuck are we doing wrong? That's just crazy. That's enough. Yeah, that's enough to make Activision look like paupers. 3 days.
Yeah, that's like fucking like record breaking.
Yeah, in the UK especially. I'm not sure about the US, but in the UK it's the biggest selling video game of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be fair, everyone knew it was going to be pretty big. You reckon? For those that do know, I live in Norwich, which is a city in UK. It's not a very big city. You know, people think, especially outside of the UK, people think, oh, city, it must be like London. It's not like London. It's very small. It's probably one of the smallest cities in the country. And we have one game store, which is a retail chain game, and they had a midnight launch, of course, and they had about 500 people turn up. That's the biggest they've ever had. I actually went up there about 10 o'clock in the evening because it's of such a short distance from my house. It takes like a 5-minute drive. So I drove up there, took a look at the queue, got back in the car, and went the fuck home.
Yeah.
I ain't getting that, but I'll get it tomorrow. It's great. I mean, we'll no doubt talk about this game at length on the show this weekend, but it is a fantastic game. I mean, I'm probably put in about 12 hours. I got a full day with it on Wednesday. I've not had a chance to play with it much after that because of work, and I probably won't really get enough big chance probably until Monday to play it again. But I've got a week off next week, and I'm just going to play the shit out of that motherfucker. You know, it is a Grand Theft Auto, except it's better than. I mean, it's. I don't know. You've not played any of it, have you, Drew?
No, I have. I did.
Please, yeah.
I've made it. Yeah, I've made it to where I just completed my first heist.
You see, this is what I want to talk about. You see, up until that point, it's kind of standard fare, other than it looks incredibly pretty if you've got it on the PS3 or the Xbox 360. What the power they've kind of sucked out of those is phenomenal, in all honesty. But you start off, and it seems like the standard fare. You do get the switching between characters, which is pretty cool. But it's not until you actually come up to your first heist where it changes, and it's not like a Grand Theft Auto game anymore. And the first heist, which is a jewelry job, you can choose to go in either silently, or you can go in loud and brash and with guns blazing. And I chose the silent method. I've known friends who have tried the other one as well. But either ways, it is fantastic, but it completely changes. It's not. I've not seen anything like it. I mean, I've not played the Payday, but apparently it's similar to that in a way. You case the joint, you look at opportunities, figure out the best way in. Do you want to do quietly? You got to hire some guys, and obviously the better they are, the bigger cut they'll take, but the better they'll be at the job.
Yeah.
And then you do the heist, and I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but shit goes down. And you have then break into this incredible chase on a bike, and then in a truck. It's fantastic, and it was so exhilarating, and I cannot wait for my next heist. It just brilliant, blows me out. And Trevor is a psychopath and is excellent.
I haven't met Trevor yet.
You've not got to him yet. If you've only Trevor is brilliant. I haven't got to the bits that the internet have been raging on about. Apparently he can be rather brutal. However, the dynamics between especially him and Michael are brilliant. The exchanges are fantastic. So you can see why this game is big. I mean, it's 5 years. It's probably the biggest gap between GTA games, between 4 and 5, than there's ever been before. Rockstar are fantastic at drip feeding the information out there. I mean, for fuck's sake, it was 2 years ago that the launch trailer, the first trailer came out, and they do that slow boil, and it reached fever pitch this week and broke records. Fair play to them. That game's going to be talked about for a while, and I'm sure it's going to be on a lot of people's Game of the Year list, no doubt. It's just, I don't know, it's 1 billion in 3 days. Rockstar must be loving it. And obviously,
sure
2K Games, of course, as well, who owns Rockstar. They must be just thinking, right then, have you got a couple of trucks to dump this money into?
Yeah, for real. That's the kind of score Michael wants right there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are one of the people living under a rock and haven't played it yet, what you're doing, just get it and enjoy it.
I'll just go ahead and mention this. I hated GTA 4. I hate it with a passion. And this game is probably going to be Game of the Year for me. I haven't got that far into it, but the amount of things, and there's so many things that I haven't even done in this game yet. They have a full-on theme park you can go to. I haven't even played tennis, which was
I've not yet. Or golf.
Showed. Yeah, or golf. I haven't done any of this stuff, and I mean, you don't even have to. You can just do the missions, and it's like a full-on game, and it has some great characters, and it's I am blown away by it. I really am.
Well, I can remember when GTA 4 came out, and it was all, this is the best thing ever, and then quickly, everyone turned on it. I'm not sure why. But it didn't take long for people to sort of basically say, no, actually, it wasn't that good. And you can see why the story doesn't hold up, because you've got Nico, who's, oh my god, I need to make a new start, my life's shit. Bang, 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 you're dead.
Yeah,
I need to make a new start. It kind of was, it was contradicting itself.
Yeah.
And then with this, they've done something very clever by introducing characters like you've got 3 different characters. Franklin, who's trying to be an up-and-coming gangster kind of thing, criminal, whatever. You got Michael, who's been there, done that, and then they've got Trevor. Now Trevor gets away with anything, so he's kind of the demon of the bunch. And by you having him there, you can get away with bang, bang, bang. He's not in it for the money. He's in it just because he's a maniac,
Yeah.
and he gets off on that kind of stuff. And so you can put all of that emphasis on him, where having an actual, Michael doesn't really want to do what he has to do, but it works so much better. The narrative works so much better that way, and it is more cohesive. And I would like to think that this is going to be remembered as one of the best games of the generation. And you talk about, these lists will come out as we enter the next generation, and you can pretty much guarantee that Rockstar are going to have 2 games in the top 5 with that and Red Dead.
Yeah.
So fair play to them. It'll continue to sell. It'll probably even surpass, $2 billion. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, GTA 4 had legs. It sold a lot over a long period of time. So they can only expect good things. There's pretty much money in the bank.
Oh yeah.
Moving on, obviously we don't want to talk too much about that. We'll no doubt wax lyrical on Sunday on the podcast. So we'll move on to the next story, which is EA Sports boss Andrew Wilson is now the boss of EA. Full stop. He's taking over from what's his name? Oh God, it's completely gone from my head. Riccatello, John Riccatello. Yep, he's leaving at towards the end of the year, I believe, and everyone thought Peter Moore was going to be taken over because he was kind of John Riccatello's right-hand man. However, jumping the gun is Andrew Wilson, who has currently been residing over the EA Sports franchises. He'll be picking up the full mantle when Riccatello leaves. I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, he's come out and said, look, I don't plan on making any big changes. We just want to continue focusing on providing excellent quality games and, making sure that everyone's happy. But, EA's gone through a bit of a weird cycle with everyone hated them, then everyone loved them, and everyone's back to hating them again. It's a weird thing, but it's of their own making. I mean, the emphasis is too much on them with freemium kind of in-app purchases and in-game purchases, buy your way to the end kind of thing. Whether that will change, I don't know. It's going to go where the money's at. So if that kind of stuff still makes some money, they will continue to do so. So I don't expect any big changes from this. I'm not sure who's going to be taking over as EA Sports boss. I don't think it's such a well-publicised job for the time being. But yeah, well, I don't really want to say. There's not massive amount of interest for me in that. EA will continue to run the way they've run, I should imagine.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Nothing changes.
Nope.
However, what is interesting, and this is why I'm quite glad you're on this show today, is the next story. This has probably blown a lot of minds. Some people don't really care. Some people, Gambus especially, is not happy. But Sega has bought Index. Now, for those of you who are not aware of who Index are, they were a Japanese company that had a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. One pie was Atlas Games, publishers and developers of games such as Persona series, Shin Megami Tensei, Catherine was a game that they had published, and over the last few years they've gained a lot of respect and love because they've come up with these great games and they continue to knock out these belters. Unfortunately, some of the other interests in Index wasn't exactly legal, and they ended up going bankrupt. And this week, the bidding started, or the bidding ended. I do apologise. And Sega ends up owning Index, including Atlas Games and any IP that they currently own. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be worse. I don't think everybody's like, oh, Sega's a piece of shit now because they don't make consoles anymore, and oh, look at what they've done to the Sonic franchise. To me, I think they've kind of started turning the Sonic franchise around. I mean, Generations was great, and Lost World looks pretty damn good to me, and they've made some niche like Japanese titles too. I mean, they have Valkyria Chronicles under their belt. They're pretty big into the Yakuza series. and Sega has a lot of stuff on the PC as well. I think they own like the Total War series.
Yeah, that was through a purchase on the last big bidding war, which was THQ. So
Yeah,
they bought
Company of
Relic,
Heroes, too.
Company Heroes, Relic Entertainment as well, who developed that game. I think I don't play them, so I don't know. Yeah, so they've got they've got a few avenues that they go down. It's not just Sonic anymore. I think what a lot of people are worried about is because they did so poorly with Sonic for quite a long time that they're a little worried that that's going to be go the same way. However, I think this is a different thing. It's not an IP. It is a series of IPs and a distribution channel that they're buying. In the same way that they bought up stuff at THQ, they're probably just increasing their portfolio, extending their
Yeah.
reach, and gaining hopefully some fans along the way. I don't understand all the hate for Sega. Yes, they're nowhere near the company they used to be, but I think this is a good move. I don't see. I mean, what would you rather? That nobody bought it and it just dissolved, no one can get hold of it, and those IPs float into the ether, or you get a company that basically buys it just for the Atlas games and runs it into the ground and doesn't know what they're doing with it. At least Sega's got experience in games industry. They've seen the course, they've managed to survive it just about, and if they want to add another string to the bow, I don't see a problem with it, providing that they don't interfere too much. They probably won't. They probably just want to make
Yeah.
some money. They see how popular Atlas Games is now, and thinks, well, we want a piece of that pie. This can make us money. They look at it in a purely financial sense. They probably will back away from it, probably not interfere too much. Maybe there'll also be some scheduling stuff that they'd rather have a little bit of control of when stuff comes out. I don't think it's going to change the development of Persona 5. I don't think it's going to, break away this Shin Megami Tensei franchise or any of the spin-offs. I just think it's going to be released. They probably even keep Atlas Games as a name. They probably won't even change that.
Oh, they won't change that name because Atlas knows. I mean, Atlas is a brand now, and everybody knows it. That they're the ones that make the quality RPGs, and that's. I don't think Sega is going to touch these guys. I think they know how to make a video game. We'll just let them make their video games, and we'll just publish them. And it's all it is about getting money in their pockets, and it can definitely be worse. And I think everybody needs to just kind of back off a little bit because I mean it's not the end of the world. Atlas is still going to be able to continue to run, and you know what? We may see Sonic in a Persona game. I don't know. I don't give a shit.
Instead of Teddy, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, they do cameos and things like that. Like Dante from Devil May Cry was in Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. So it's they've done strange stuff like that before, but they'll leave Atlas alone. Trust me. They know how to make a game. They'll let them make their games and just slap Sega on the side of it.
Fair enough. So, quick bursts. I'll leave them to you. There's a few to go through. A few interesting things there. Some which will interest you, but you can fire away, Drew.
Alrighty. Well, first thing up, Mighty Number 9, the Kinji Inafune game, has hit another mark and is now coming to the Xbox 360, Wii U, and PlayStation 3. Great.
When's that meant to happen? Is that next year?
That's going to be next year. He's going to work on it obviously after this month when the funding ends. Yeah, I mean, it was going to come out on PC and all these other avenues. Everybody's got a 360 or a PS3. So, I mean, he's going to get his game out there, and there's going to be a lot of people that play it.
Fair play. At least these people will be able to see it. Say reaching more people means that reaching the Kickstarter. Well, obviously he's already gone and surpassed it, but getting more money in. If more people think, well, now it's coming to the console that I own, then maybe I should fund it as well. So you might see some of that.
Yeah,
give
exactly.
it a little bit of an extra boost.
I think it's still got 2 more weeks left, so
Yeah.
it's got a little while. Up next, Diablo 3's Auction House is set to end in March of 2014.
Go on.
That's a big one.
I
That's
thought you'd like that story.
I do like that story because the game was fine, and then they introduced the auction house about a month later, or it might have been a couple of weeks later, and it was fine then. But then they said, you know what? People aren't really spending a lot of money in this auction house. Let's fuck with the loot drops.
Mm.
And that's what they did. And they lowered the loot drops to the point where you're not getting anything anymore. You have to play this game and farm. And yeah, I understand that's part of Diablo, but don't
Not to
mess with
where it takes the fun out of it.
exactly. The whole point of Diablo and the whole point of loot horror games is to get loot.
Mm.
And they even said that in their little like, blog post or whatever the hell they posted. You know, I was like, look, we took away from the core mechanic of Diablo, and we want to bring it back. And you know what? Blizzard just removed something that makes them money to make fans happy, and kudos to you.
It's impressive. No, there are a lot
That's
of
all I
companies
can say.
you wouldn't see EA doing that, would you?
Oh,
Let's
God, no.
face it. Yeah, I mean, it's the loot house auction house isn't available in the console version because it's not something they can do.
Yeah.
And there it runs on the normal loot system. You know, it starts off, you know, pretty light, but as you progress through the difficulty levels and play it more, the loot becomes, you know, drops. You know, you get rarer and rarer items. And it's, as you say, it's something that the fans want, you know, love. They love the loot drops. They love getting the rare items. And by putting that in, Auction House meant that it was there just to make money.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's going into March because that'll time it with the expansion pack, which is fair enough. It is. It shocks me that a developer has done this. It just, yeah, they've listened. They've actually listened.
Yeah, they actually listened for once.
I mean, to be fair, you have to wonder how much of the auction house is their idea as opposed to Activision's. But you can see why they wanted to do it, because without the auction house, that stuff went other channels. You know, people would sell loot in other ways. It was a bit of a black market, a Wild West out there, and by doing it through the auction house, it kind of had some control, made it a little easier for some people, but it, as you say, ruined the game for the fans, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, not just that, but I mean, like, you know, once you go to the auction house and you see that you can get this weapon that totally makes my character badass for the next like 20 levels, it takes the fun out of even playing the game, you know.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like my witch doctor that I play, you know, he's level 41 now. I really don't want to play as him because the game is kind of too easy now, because I went to the auction house and bought a bunch of stuff. And yeah, you could say, well, don't go to the auction house. Well, I mean, I understand that, but I mean, it's there, and I looked at the stuff, and I kind of ruined the game for myself by going to the auction house and getting the stuff for 2,000 gold. Now I'm a badass, you know, and it was too easy to get the stuff that I wanted, and it ruined the game for me, and I ruined the game for myself. But you can always start a new character, which I have in a couple of instances. So, but anyway, up next, Battlefield 4 open beta launches October 4th. I don't know much.
Fans.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. Is it just the PC version, or is this?
No,
gonna be...
I believe it's going to be PC, PS3. PS3 and Xbox 360.
Okay, so anybody can just jump in and play some Battlefield 4. They did this with Battlefield 3 too, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I remember that was where the meme of the soldiers, when they crouched, their head got really long or their neck got really long. I remember that happening.
I do. If I remember rightly, it came to PS3 slightly earlier because at the time, that, you know, EA were bedfellows, but I think it's across the board now. Fair enough. You know, people will be into that. They'll download it. They'll have fun. I don't know whether or not their XP will save over. Probably not. I don't know, but it's still a good way for people to be able to try the game out, see how it looks and plays. Although a lot of people are excited about that on the next generation of consoles, which obviously it's not going to beta on. So
yeah, which I do want to mention. I mean, I know we don't have it on here. Sony actually announced how people can go from having the PS3 version of the game and upgrading to the PS4 version. And it's a somewhat simple way of doing it, but I find it very confusing for one reason. So, say I have Watch Dogs on the
Yeah.
PlayStation 3, and I want to upgrade to the PlayStation 4 version. Well, I have the disc version of that game. I have to pay $10, which, okay, I'm totally fine with paying $10 for the newer version. But you have to keep your disc. And they say you have to have your disc in your PlayStation 4 and play it like that.
So
You
it
have to
verifies that the disc is in there, save you reselling it.
exactly. Last time I checked, PlayStation 4s didn't read PlayStation 3 disc, right?
I don't know. It's possible
I
they could read them. It
yeah.
only has
See,
to read them. It's got a Blu-ray drive. It can read them. Probably can't run off them, but maybe it just has to run the registry.
that's true. I just find it a little weird. But you actually have to
Well, I know.
download the game.
I think. Well, Activision are doing it so that when you buy a copy of Call of Duty Ghosts on the PlayStation 3, in the box will be a code that will allow you to download it for $10 or £10 in the UK on the PSN store.
Yeah.
And they haven't mentioned anything about the copy that you've already bought. You could potentially trade that in because the code just gives you, it's a reduction code, so it says, here's your code. You put the code in. Here's Call of Duty for $10. Download it.
But it specifically says in that the PlayStation blog update that you have to have your disc with you
What for that? For Battlefield or for Call of Duty, all of them?
for all of them.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Well, it could be a registry thing. It does stop that from happening because it would happen. They
Yeah.
must have found a way to be. I mean, if it's not true and you can load it without having the disc in, I'm sure the internet will be the first to know.
Well, I'm sure people will say something. I just don't know what.
I'm just waiting. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I want to get Watch Dogs, but I'm just going to wait until the PlayStation 4 comes out and get the PlayStation 4 version because I can wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've got GTA. That's gonna last me a while.
Exactly. And lastly, news that kind of okay. Gravity Rush. There's so many people that call it Gravity Crush, including myself. But Gravity Rush is getting a sequel.
Yeah, it got announced this week.
I didn't know it. Yeah, I didn't know it garnered a sequel, but apparently there's a lot of people, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who just heard me say that and say you are an idiot. But maybe I am an idiot. I don't own a Vita, so I've never played the game. But it's getting a sequel.
I have played it. I couldn't really get on with it, but I didn't really give it much of a chance. It was one of the first games they gave out on the PlayStation Plus subscription when they started including the Vita. I do need to play it. It seemed like an interesting idea. I just couldn't get to grips with the controls, but apparently you have to kind of you get over a hump with it, and away you go. It's a Vita sequel coming out at some point. It was teased at TGS this week. I'm sure a lot of people will be happy. I know quite a few friends who've got Vitas who absolutely adore that game, so they're going to be happy. And it was an interesting concept, and maybe they can take it a little bit further with the new one. The gravity thing was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, a couple of stories left to finish up with. Firstly, this week at some kind of Linux Fest thing, Gabe Newell, head of Valve and Steam, announced an announcement. So next week there is going to be an announcement about hardware and Steam. So everyone is now shouting Steambox or Steam console. Yeah. Could we see that? They've teased it already. They've said they're working on it. They've got people working on that technology in regards to the hardware side of things. Is it time? Are they going to sort of throw a fly in the ointment in regards to the new upcoming console launches?
I'm sure that they're in the works, and will it be successful? That's the biggest question for me. Would a Steam box be successful when I already have a PC that plays Steam games? Maybe. It depends on how they really want to hold it. I mean, obviously they're going to go into more detail next week, but two things. It depends on how much the thing costs, obviously. What comes with it, and it's it could be a good idea. I mean, could it be the next Ouya? It could be the next Ouya.
Well,
So
big fucking flop.
yeah, a big flop. We don't know.
I
We
just,
don't know.
the good thing is that at this point, Valve has an endless amount of money to spend and throw at this thing, and if you throw enough money, some of it will stick. It depends. I think it depends on you're right. What it costs, because no one's going to buy it if it's the same price as a high-end PC,
Oh yeah.
and what is inside in regards to its power, because no one's going to buy it if it's only a mid-range PC, and they've already got a mid-range PC. You're going to have something that, if this is a console that's going to sit under your TV, want to share space with your Xbox One or your PS4, it's going to have to be able to perform along with them, and that means high-end stuff. How is that going to do? How is that going to equate into a cost? It's all things that hopefully will we don't. I don't expect any kind of release date. I don't expect any kind of pricing, but we would like to see, what's under the hood. How is this going to entice us to buy one of those, as opposed to maybe a second console? So if you've got a PS4 or an Xbox One, why would you buy a Steam box instead of that other console? Now, the one thing that they've got is Steam itself. Yeah. The Steam sale is second to none, and it's going to be a while before Sony or Microsoft come anywhere close to being able to provide games that cheap, because Steam have dominated the PC platform and forces publishers pretty much to reduce their games over certain periods of time for that amount, and it's something that they have spent years trying to perfect and have kind of got it down. So the Steam sales are just incredible. A lot of the games now are Steam Big Picture, which is the lead up to this. So the whole point of the Big Picture mode is to test the waters, see how it works, and get games up to speed so that they will play fully on a controller. It's that sort of stuff. I mean, the people who play RTSs, they don't give a shit. You need a mouse and keyboard. What's the point? They're not generally graphically too taxing. But for the type of games, brawlers, shooters, whatever, those other races, you can easily play with the gamepad, and a lot of people have been turning to PC recently because they can outperform the current consoles. So it's getting those people to adopt to a Steam box, but to do that you have to make it comparable to one of the other consoles, and in price as well as power. And is it going to be something that you can upgrade like a PC? Are they going to be able to perform, provide graphics card slots where you can take out the old and put in the new one? It's a lot of what's and ifs and buts at the moment. So next week will be interesting.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Sorry.
Wet my whistle. And finally, we're going to go full circle and go back round to GTA 5. Now, couple of issues that have been highlighted this week, both on PS3 and on Xbox 360. First came the news that Rockstar had advised people who were installing, who'd like to install their games, not to install the Play disc. So you get two discs with it. One is an install disc, and that's the one you have to install. No problems there. Apparently, by installing the Play disc, all of the game is running off the hard drive, causing pop-up issues, tearing issues, slowdown, stuff like that. Whereas if it's playing from a disc, it's reading from the disc and the memory, and that makes things run smoother. A couple of videos came up online saying this is what it looks like with, this is what it looks like without it installed. I couldn't tell a great deal of difference between the two, and everyone went, okay, well, not install the Play disc. Then it was announced that the PSN downloaded version suffered from the same thing. So if you had bought the disc version, it's about a 17 gig game, but 8 gig of it is installed. So again, probably the same thing's true. It reads from the disk and the hard drive.
Yeah.
However, when reading from the hard drive, when you've downloaded the game at 17 gig, that's when the issues run out. And videos popped up of that looked incredibly similar to the videos that popped up with the Xbox 360 version.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was going on there. Were they just grabbing these videos and just calling them whatever they wanted? This is a PS3 version. This is the Xbox 360 version going wrong. I don't know what. Very, very odd. I got the disc version, so I can't comment. I've not had any issues with it at all. I've had a friend who got the disc version, and he managed to crash a car halfway through the gravel, so his car hood was like halfway sticking out of the road. But it's an open world game, for fuck's sake. You cannot have a bug-free open world game, and in all honesty, considering how the scope of that game, the fact that it's relatively bug-free, and I haven't come across one after 12 hours of playing, is pretty impressive. So I don't know. I can't really comment on it, but it just seems like it's another GTA, another reason to put a GTA story online. It's like, well, I don't know.
They're everywhere, so it's I don't know. I mean, 360 is an easy fix. PlayStation 3, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I got the disc version of the PlayStation 3 version, and I haven't had a single problem out of it.
No. I mean, please, let us know. Tweet us, email us. Let us know if anyone else has had issues with either of those two problems. One of my friends who I work with got his on the 360 version, and he was a little bit worried because he's having problems with his 360 where it won't play the disc. He has to install because it just crashes after 5 minutes when he's playing it. Then he went online. There was all the doomsayers. Oh, you can't do that. It's gonna he's gonna affect your performance. He's actually got away with it so far. He's not had to install the play disc. He thought he'd give it a shot, see if it worked, and it hasn't crashed yet. It would be interesting to see if he ends up installing it, if he notices any difference at all. But I don't know. It's again, anything to put GTA up on a website, on a news site. It's like, well, you don't need this sort of stuff. Just put up every day in the morning, 9 o'clock. GTA 5 is still awesome. Job done. Walk away. Get on with the rest of your day. I don't know. It's never mind. So I mean, I don't think there's anything else. I didn't get anything. Nothing else caught my eye this week. Anything you, Drew, news-wise?
No, not really. Just same
We're
crap,
going to go
different day.
We're going to go into sort of quiet period because obviously news gets a little bit quiet as you run into the fall season where games start coming out. It might be a little different this year because we've got 2 major console launches coming within the next couple of months. Obviously, the Xbox One is 2 months away, a little bit less for the US for the PS4 and a little bit later for the PS4 in the UK. So we'll see some stuff, maybe some mud being thrown either way. That's going to be an interesting time. So we'll try and keep the news interesting at least while we go through a quiet period when all we're seeing is games coming out. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can, of course, tweet me at John W, DUBYA UK. You can tweet at ZTGD, our site's Twitter account. You can email us, podcasts@ztgd.com, and again, you can leave us a comment or ask us a question on the iTunes store because we're now there as an audio podcast. So it's all quite good. If you wish to follow Drew, and I do recommend it, he does go on a rant every so often, so it's quite good. You can follow him on Twitter at DMLFury. Yes. So that's it for another week. You can join myself and hopefully Justin, and if not, maybe Drew or maybe Andrew. We'll see. Next week for another ZTGD Newsburst. Thank you.